The Packers are coming off their much-needed bye week to face Baker Mayfield and the LA Rams on Monday Night Football. We're going to preview the game with a little bit of your help next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and even though their chances are slim and none, we're doing our best to keep the playoff dream alive while we still can. I'm happy to also have my co-host back once again, healthy and well. I'm ready to talk some Packers.
So you're saying there's a chance? I think there is. I'm Wayne Henderson, and thanks to David Newman for filling in for me last week. I couldn't even say "Go Pack Go" without a coughing attack, and glad that David was able to bring it. This is episode 267 of the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. This time around, we're going to preview next Monday night's game against the Rams at Lambeau Field, and we'll review the results for our weekly poll question. A little bit of information in there as well.
I'll also have my keys to a Packers victory over the Rams, and as is tradition, we'll share your insightful listener feedback as well. In fact, let's dig right into that feedback because we don't have a game to recap. David and I did that last week. So what do you got for us, Wayne?
Well, we have Dan Dyler coming up. He came in hot just a little while ago, but we want to remind everybody, get in your calls. Next week's game is going to be on a Monday night. Obviously, we're not going to record Monday night. We'll record sometime on Tuesday, but if it's at all possible, get your feedback in right after the game so that we can have it be part of the show. Give us a call at +1 920 3PACK-GO or record it on your phone, attach it to an email, send it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com.
Go, 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 Pack, go! Here we go, Week 15, Monday Night Football. Oh, I can't wait. As I said last week, the Rams are not looking very good. They got Baker Mayfield, who actually won a game for him after being in the city for 2 days, after being cut by a team. That's just nuts to me that they just cut him. A first-round draft pick, they just let him walk, and LA picks him up, and 2 days later he won them a football game. But still, they have no Matthew Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, no Allen Robinson. Their offensive line is in shambles. It's basically a rotating door there. The prognosticators out there are giving them 0.1% to make the playoffs, which is better than that's actually worse than us. Right now, we have a 6% chance to make the playoffs, which is up from last week due to Seattle and the Giants lost. But if we win out the rest of the games, which I totally think we can do, we have a 58% chance to make the playoffs. This bye week just came at a perfect time. In 5 weeks, there were 5 games at 5 different stadiums in 2 different countries. I can't understand how those players are feeling moving around like that and still be able to perform the way they did. In 3 of the last 4 games, they've scored at least 28 points, which is a lot better than the beginning of the season. The first half was pretty. I don't need to say it. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing Aaron Jones become the 3rd all-time leading rusher. He only needs 15 yards. Romeo Doubs should be back. I don't expect a whole lot out of him being his first game back, but it's just another weapon for Rodgers to use. Bakhtiari should be back. Like David Newman said on the show last week, it's a relatively easy and a non-invasive procedure, so it's likely for him to return to the game against the Rams. And there's definitely a precedent for it, as Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Steelers, he had an appendectomy back in November, and he played in the next game the following week. I'm so looking forward to this game again because, as I said before, I'm going to be going up there Saturday through Tuesday, visiting with family, of course. It's the Christmas season, but also for this Monday Night Football game that me and my buddy and his family are going to. So if you're going to the game or if you live in that area, let me know. It'd be awesome to meet up with some other listeners and just share our love of the Packers. Winter break came at a perfect time for my kiddo. Jill, she also works at his same school as a special needs aide there. So they both got the week off. I already had the day, that Monday and Tuesday off. So it just worked out. Anyway, like I said, I hope to meet up with some of you guys up there. Hopefully I'll meet up with Scott Boers. Already talked to him, and if things work out, that should happen. But tickets are cheap. They're only $40. If you're in the area, go get out there. Wear your warm clothes, but come on out and watch an awesome game with our Green Bay Packers. This is Pack Sparrow signing out. Go, 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 Pack, go! Oh, and also go to PackersFanPodcast.com and click on the Fanatics.com link or the Amazon link and get your Packers gear, get your warm weather gear or your cold weather gear so you can come out to the game and help out the show a little bit. Go, Pack, go!
Awesome, Dan. Thanks so much for the plug. Always appreciate that. Really excited for you that you get to go to the game. I've actually met Scott Boers in person multiple times. He's a super awesome guy. Very, very nice. So I'm a little jealous. I hesitate to even mention this, but I am considering going to the game, Wayne. And the biggest reason, I'm considering it because like Dan said, tickets are cheap. He posted in our Facebook group, and I actually went and looked it up. I was shocked that he said $40. That's some pretty nosebleed seats. But if I go by myself, I could probably find a single ticket somewhere for a little bit better, or about the same price. That's also before Ticketmaster fees, so it could wind up being $150. But I'm considering it solely for the chance to meet some listeners in person. I know that Dan said he's going to be there. Obviously, I could probably meet up with Scott. I don't know if he's going to the game. Megan mentioned on Facebook that she was thinking about going. It would just be really, really cool if I got to get a picture with all those people. And that would be the biggest reason. Don't get me wrong. Love the Packers, would love to see the game. But the biggest reason would be able to hug those guys and girls and get a picture with them and do a go together with those guys on a video. So can't make any promises. Still considering, but I got the okay from the wife to do it.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
Step number 1, checked off the list. You got a week from the time we're recording this. So keep us posted. That's great stuff.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to the possibility. It'd be a long, lonely drive. That's like a 3.5-hour drive in the car by myself. I'll have to get my audiobook ready.
Yeah, roll down the windows and feel the cool breeze.
Yeah. And how impressive was that? I finally watched the highlights for the Rams-Raiders game. That final drive, what was like a minute 25 that he drove down and
98 yards.
It's just nuts. Kind of crazy. And he'd only been there for 2 days. I think you were mentioning to me through text that he knew something like 10 plays of the offense at that point.
Right.
Which, leading up to that, it wasn't the most impressive game ever.
No,
it was. They only had 10 points, going into those final minutes of the game. But kind of goes to show you that you don't need a ton of complexity if you're doing things right. Just have a handful of plays and execute them correctly, and things can happen. So, yeah.
That was pretty amazing. And Dan bringing up a great point that Aaron Jones could already move into third place all time as a Packers running back this coming Monday night of that game. All he needs is like 15 yards.
Yeah, there's no way that's not going to happen.
So
there's just no way.
That's another reason to go to that game, witness a little bit of Packers history.
I wish Dan would have told us. I guess I could look it up myself, but I want to know how far away second place and first place are for those things, because Aaron Jones has got a lot of legs left in him.
That's true.
I'd love to see if he could overtake those as well, but who knows how big that delta is.
Yeah, but top 3, that's a great place to go. And I think Dan said in the Facebook group that he's going to be on one of the 20-yard lines. So depending on how
in
he's
the first
dressed,
row.
Yeah, so we'll be looking for him on TV. So good stuff. Thanks for sending in your voicemail, Dan. Very much appreciated. Let's check in with our weekly poll that we put out at PackersCommunity.com and on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Which facet of our team is going to shine brightest next Monday night against the Rams? The offense, the defense, special teams, perhaps? What do you think, Scott?
Well, I don't think special teams is much improved as the special teams has been. I don't think that's going to be the brightest mark for us whatsoever. I'm probably going to say the offense. And I think that if it's going to be the offense, specifically the run offense, just because of the front line over there in Los Angeles is pretty scary. So I think this would be a time for Aaron Jones to get more than his allotted needed 15 yards in this game. If I had my way, but we'll get to my keys to victory in a bit. How about you?
I'm looking forward to that as well. Nothing would surprise me. This game is so up in the air. It very well could be special teams. Nixon could, who knows, take a kickoff or punt all the way in for a touchdown. But if I had to pick one, I would say it's the offense, as does 75% of the people that voted on Twitter and Facebook after you combine it. 22% said defense, and 3% went with the old special teams.
We haven't had a run back in forever. Our special teams has not come out and done anything cool like that. I was actually thinking about this too. I didn't get to watch the Lions-Vikings game live, but that game actually had a fake punt. I feel like I haven't seen a fake punt in years.
Not by the
much
Packers.
Less one that, well, not by the Packers for sure. But I mean, even in general, I just feel like we never see those anymore. That was a huge thing. That was just like a normal thing in the 90s to have fake punts or fake whatever. And it's just we've been a lot more conservative, which is interesting because I feel like the league has gotten a lot more aggressive on fourth down plays.
Right.
In the terms of going for it, but it's never a surprise. I would love to see that happen again because that makes for some exciting moments in football for sure. We did have some comments on our poll question. First off, Garrett Stritzel wrote in and said, definitely Watson and Dobbs have the potential to show the national audience what the future looks like in Green Bay. I like that. That was a really cool comment. Also, we had some other great posts and comments unrelated to the poll question that were made in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, which can be found at packerscommunity.com. First off, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. Is it Rick Snoddy?
Yes. Rick Snoddy.
Okay.
Rick in
Snoddy
Wisconsin.
shared his Packers Christmas tree. Pretty cool to see. Got to check that out. And also there's an article about Aaron Jones that was posted. He's this year's Packers nominee for the annual Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. That guy has been doing some really fantastic stuff with the community, so I highly recommend you check that out.
Good stuff. Also, Dan Dyler, we mentioned he's going to be at the game, the Rams-Packers game, but he's pondering, instead of going as Captain Pack Sparrow, he posted in the group that he might dress up in the Christmas spirit as Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation, wearing a Packers bathrobe, a cool hat, and lots of layers underneath because of how cold it's going to be.
Definitely the layers underneath, but I think it depends on what his goal is, because if he really wants to get on TV, you got to go with Pack Sparrow. I feel like if he did that on the 20-yard line front row, there's no way that dude doesn't get on TV. But, maybe the same for Cousin Eddie. I just feel like Pack Sparrow would definitely stand out a lot more and catch the eye of some of those cameramen. What do you think?
True, but you do want to get out of the game without frostbite at the same time.
That's true. I don't know how warm the Pack Sparrow costume is.
Be an ice pirate, something like that. We had a couple of your fan foundation stories earlier in the season. We'd like to hear some more. So let us know how you became a fan of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers and share it with us here on the show. Give us a call at either +1 920-3PACK-GO or email your audio recordings to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. Just let us know what led you to become a fan of the Packers. Was it by accident? Did your family indoctrinate you like they should? Let us know, and we will go from there.
And as always, your calls, emails, comments, and support are so much a part of the PFP. Thank you so much for everybody that participates. We do appreciate it. Remember to join the PFP Facebook community and be part of the conversations at packerscommunity.com.
Now let's take a quick look at that game that is coming up on Monday Night Football. This is going to be a must-watch TV no matter what the records are of the teams. But be that as it may, we are 5-8 as the Green Bay Packers coming off the bye. The 4-9 Los Angeles Rams. How's that for a record of a reigning Super Bowl champion? 4-9. Monday night,
crazy.
December 19th, 7:15 p.m. Central Time. Our Packers lead the series, Scott, 48-47 and 2 ties. So it would be in our best interests to keep the lead in this series. We've been periodically playing against the Rams since 1937. They are one of the almost OG NFL teams going around. Remember November 26th, 1939, Scott?
like it was yesterday.
Yes, that's where we could say something like from Spinal Tap and say, "Hello, Cleveland." Our Packers beat the then Cleveland Rams. How's this for a score? 7-6. That's a barn burner. In the fourth quarter, quarterback Cecil Isbell hit Joe Laws for an 18-yard touchdown, but I love that the extra point was kicked by our lineman, Tiny Engelbretson, or something very close to that. Green Bay wrapped that season 9-2, first place in the conference, and later went on to win their fifth league championship with a 27-0 beatdown of the New York Giants in Milwaukee. It was one of those Milwaukee games.
Yeah, that's something you will never see again in the NFL, a lineman kicking an extra point.
Or the Packers spending a few games a year in another city in Wisconsin, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
A more vivid memory, at least for me, was September 1989. It was my first ever NFL game, Scott. My band at the time, bass player and I, we went to Anaheim Stadium to see the Packers face the Rams. And I got to tell you, I don't recommend watching a football game in a baseball stadium, but I did get to see Don Mikowski and the Packers. And although the game was close, Jim Everett and the Rams held on to an early lead to win 41-38. And even though we lost, I got to see so many touchdowns in my first ever NFL game. It was wild. And as a bonus, Scott, the lasagna at the old Anaheim Stadium was pretty good. It was pretty good to have before the game.
That's something I don't imagine going to have at a stadium is lasagna. That's bizarre.
Well, as bizarre as watching a football game in a baseball stadium. And more recently,
that's
also
true.
vivid, was having Sir Troy join my family and I, about 39,000 other Packers fans at the LA Coliseum, which is also not a great place to watch a football game. It was a great game, although we lost 29-27, partially due to the Packers, get this, fumbling a kickoff return near the end of the game and turning it over to the Rams. It sounds familiar, but this was well before Amari.
Man, well, you had a bunch of down notes there. I'm kind of surprised that those were your memories there, man, although you did get to go to the one game. But I have a little bit more positive one. Back in 1990, it was a game that I'm hoping will be a repeat of history because the Rams had been winning against the Packers for the past 20 years at this point. It was rough. But the Packers shocked nearly everyone and actually defeated the Rams in Lambeau Field that year. Nobody expected it to happen. It was great. But what made it really interesting was that the Rams made the NFC Championship the year before. Now, the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. Just saying. So, we could shock everybody and start to run the table. I'm channeling my inner positive Wayne Henderson there, man.
Can I get a go, Pack, go?
Go, Pack, go indeed.
And as Dan Dyler alluded to, Monday night's weather in Green Bay is going to be cloudy and around plus 11 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, which would be about minus 11 degrees Celsius. There's a chance of snow Tuesday morning, so there's always the option of that coming in a bit early and bringing some snowflakes to the game. But whether it's clear, whether it's warm or cold, what is it going to take, Scott, for our Green Bay Packers to begin this run and beat the Rams?
All right, for my keys to victory, going to start simple. Strategy number 1, run first, pass later. At this point, I feel like I'm cheating when I use this as one of my keys each week, but this week it's even more important. The Rams have the third worst rushing offense in the league. It's simply too good to overlook that fact, especially on those third and short situations where it drives me crazy that it's 3rd and 2 and we're doing these long passes. We can't do that this game. With this offense or this line, we just need to take advantage and just run through it. Do what works best for the Packers this time and stick with it. We don't need the long explosive bombs. We need to control the clock and move the chains 10 yards at a time. It really is that simple, Wayne, or at least it should be. But we'll see what happens. Strategy number 2, don't let Baker Mayfield intimidate. I know that his performance in the fourth quarter on Thursday against the Raiders was impressive, but that shouldn't give a great deal of worry. This will only be his second week with the Rams, and lightning rarely strikes twice, especially with Mayfield's history of no consistency. With that said, the Packers secondary should be on the lookout to contain him early on. Ideally, they'd run up the points to have at least a lead by 2 scores in the final minutes to keep him from having a repeat of his Tom Brady effect this past week. So hopefully that won't be an issue. Strategy number 3, focus on our advantages, and in this case, those advantages are health and extra rest. The Rams may be getting an extra 3 days of rest than normal since they played on Thursday this week, but the Packers have the advantage coming off of the bye. Still, their history of playing right after a lengthy break is far from stellar. I think that this is the week to snap that mentality, especially since the green and gold are significantly healthier on both sides of the ball. This will be no cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, but on paper, they should win this game, and it's the first of 4 must-wins if they hope to stand even a smidgen of a chance for the postseason. There you go.
I like it. I really like it, Scott. I think things are really happening. It's a magical season, and all we can do is take it one game at a time. And it all those reasons you mentioned, the keys to victory, I think those are even more reasons to lean towards you making it to the game somehow.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see. We'll see. Either way. So with that being said, we went over, or you went over with David Newman, the current standings in the Wager O Fun, as well as with the listener standings. How do you think the Packers are going to do it with the Rams? Are we going to beat the Rams? Are you going to pick a victory, maybe twice in a row? What's going on?
I know. I am going to pick a victory with the Packers. I think that, even though Baker Mayfield looked pretty promising, I think that there's going to be a lot more room for error this time around. I know that it's a big game for everybody. He wants to kind of prove himself even more, and the Rams are looking for some redemption. But, keep in mind, before winning against the Raiders, they had lost 6 games in a row. Now, I know we're not that far off of that either, but with our health and with the extra rest, I think we've got a really solid chance here. I'm going to say Packers 27, Rams 14.
Love it. I'm in the same boat pretty much. I say Packers will manage 24 points, and the Rams are going to end up with 13.
All right. It's going to be a close one. Hopefully we get a win. We really need it, obviously. But I want to remind everybody, please be sure to call into our Packers Fan Podcast voicemail line at 920-3PACK-GO right after the Rams game. Reminder, the deadline to call is Monday, midnight Eastern. Just have your phones ready to call immediately after the game. We want to get those in. Wayne and I both will be off work that following Tuesday, so the chance of recording that episode early in the day is very high, but we want to make sure we get everybody's calls in. And here are our listener picks as of right now for the Wager of Fun. First off, Alex Bartman says that Green Bay is going to win 27-24. Garrett Stritzel says 28-13. David Newman says 27-17, in fact, in favor of the green and gold. Dan Freilich says Green Bay 26, Los Angeles 20. And Anthony Tracy says Green Bay 35, Los Angeles 10.
I'm liking that everybody is picking the Packers so far, like Brett Connor, who said 28-24 over the Rams. And Dan Dyler says Packers 28, Rams 17, adding, LaFleur, now hear this, run the ball. It's looking like it's going to be windy, cold, 11 degrees, possibly snowy. Dan Dyler is predicting 1 defensive touchdown off a Baker Mayfield interception, and Watson keeps his consecutive games with a TD rolling, and Aaron Jones gets 2 TDs to put the game away. Wow. Nice. What if it plays out just like that? I think that would be fabuloso.
I agree.
And the NFC North, you mentioned this earlier, somehow the Lions beat the Vikings. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So the Lions are 6-7, the Vikings are 10-3, but still have not clinched the North. The Packers are 5-8, and the Bears are 3-10. I think currently the Bears might be the only team in the NFC officially eliminated from any possible chance, but others may have joined them just yesterday. Not sure.
That is correct, sir. And as much as it angers me to say so, I really was kind of hoping for a Vikings victory. I think we could have used the Lions' loss more than the Vikings' victory. So
mathematically,
that was kind of a bummer.
It would have been nice, but hard to say.
Yeah. It's definitely hard to cheer for the Vikings right now. But hey, we'll have to see what happens. Some other interesting happenings in the NFL this week. First off, Brock Purdy's performance against the Bucs was quite impressive. I don't know if you guys saw this game, but they won the game 35-7. This is the San Francisco 49ers in Tampa. This was Purdy's first game, who was filling in for Garoppolo, who broke his foot. And if you'd not heard the name, it's probably because he's actually known as, quote, Mr. Irrelevant. That's what his nickname has been, because he was literally the last pick of the draft this year, came out of Iowa State. But in this game, he threw 2 touchdowns and ran a touchdown in himself, just kind of destroyed Tom Brady and the Bucs. It was just really kind of cool to see, especially they kept showing shots of his family who was at the game. His dad was getting emotional. It was just really sweet. I happened to had the opportunity to watch this game live, and it was just really, really cool to see. Did you see that one?
I saw a lot of it on the Red Zone channel, and I just want to recap. You said the words sweet and 49ers in the same phrasing. That's kind of odd, but that game was strange because especially after how well Tom Brady and the Buccaneers came from behind to win the week before, the Buccaneers were just not there. Defense, offense, everything about the Buccaneers, the wheels like flew off this week.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And it's got to feel really good as a rookie quarterback coming in to win the game against a team that has Tom Brady as quarterback. And everybody, all the announcers were doing it during the game. They kept comparing the stats between these two guys and saying, like, this is what he did in his first game versus what Brady did in his first game. And the announcer's like, well, we're not saying he's the next Tom Brady, but chances are he's got a bright future ahead of him. Like, no, dude, you're trying to say he's better. He's going to be the next Tom Brady is what you're saying.
That's what they were saying.
Just own it, man. Anyway, moving on, I want to remind everybody about my other podcast called The Gaming Outsider. We just recorded a brand new episode yesterday. It's going to be released this Thursday. And this time, Zach, Alyssa, and I talk about whether skills we've acquired playing video games translate to real life at all. It's a pretty interesting conversation. I also played the latest Need for Speed game. If you like racing games, that's a pretty cool one. And also a new Japanese role-playing game developed by a single guy. It's really great. I'm enjoying it. It's called Chained Echoes. You can hear me talk about that on the show. If you would, I would appreciate you checking it out. You can hear it the same place you listen to this podcast, or you can go to our website, which is thegamingoutsider.com.
I believe you said thegamingoutsider.com.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, just making sure that it was thegamingoutsider.com.
That's right.
You say value, we say value. Value for value. Here at the Packers Fan Podcast. Value. Logo. Thanks for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast. I am still delirious from the COVID-19. It's been 8 or 9 days of testing positive. I'm tired of it. Anyways, we really appreciate your support and giving back to the podcast. Details for becoming a patron and other ways to give back to the show are at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. So we want to say go Pack Go, and thank you, Mr. Dan Dyler, for all of your support of the podcast at the Jim Ringo level. And thank you and go Pack Go to Mr. Jay Walters for your AR-12 level pledge. Much appreciated.
And at the Favre 4 support level, Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Andre in LA, Colum Nolan from Ireland, Scott Boers, and Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast. Also, Curly Lambeau level, Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Hank Davis from the TPE Network, Joe Christensen, and Matt Haig. Again, if you two are interested in supporting the show, maybe even becoming a patron of the Packers Fan Podcast, check out the details at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. As a reminder, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we would love to be if you guys are listening. Please follow PFP where you listen to your podcast. And did you remember to tell some friends about the show yet? If so, we really do appreciate it.
And while you're at it, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. Follow Scott at GoCastScott. Follow me at Wayne Henderson. And as he gets ready to sail up to Lambeau Field and set anchor on the 20-yard line, here's Patreon supporter Dan Dyler.
All right, this is Dan, a.k.a. Pack Sparrow, and Brett.
Coming in from Tottenham, all the way from London, England. And this is the Go Pack Go.
Go, 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 go.
Go Pack Go!